What's up everyone, John Renger from Techno Buffalo here. Embargoes are lifted and we can finally talk about the Samsung Galaxy S4. I've had it for the better part of 4.5 days, not long enough to put together a full review to where I'm comfortable putting my name on something, but it is plenty of time to share some first impressions, show you some cool stuff the Galaxy S4 has, show you some new things that TouchWiz can do and not do, and hopefully help you decide whether or not you want to pre-order or order the Galaxy S4. Let's go ahead and get started. Alright, so here is our Galaxy S4. We've got it for Sprint, although oddly we don't have any carrier branding on our phone. Perhaps by the time these devices get to you though, there'll be some sort of carrier notifications on here. So let me go ahead and run through the specs, remind you what the Galaxy S4 has. You can decide if it's the right phone for you. Then I'll talk a little bit more about what's in it and all about Sense and all kinds of other Galaxy S4 goodness. So it is going to ship with Android 4.2, which I give them credit for. They're able to get that on by the time these devices hit consumers' hands. From a dimension standpoint, it's 5.38 inches by 2.75 inches by a pretty thin 0.31 inches. While we're looking at the side here, I will say the Galaxy S4 now has sort of metal-esque accents. Now they're still plastic, but it makes the phone feel more significant in the hands. Implies a little bit better build quality to me, and the device is definitely thinner than the outgoing Galaxy S3, and it weighs a pretty lightweight 4.59 ounces. So one of the big additions to the Galaxy S4 is that gorgeous 5-inch 1080p display. It's Super AMOLED Plus, you're keeping track of what the technology is, and that gives it a pretty substantial 441 ppi. And the screen here does look gorgeous. We'll cover all this a lot more in the review, and I feel like I've used the device well enough. But when I'm just online reading websites and browsing around, the screen is absolutely gorgeous. Video, text, playing games, whatever it might be, the screen here is really nice. Samsung has always nailed their screens, going back to really the original Galaxy S and on. So hats off to Samsung for improving an already awesome technology. 2600 milliamp hour battery. I haven't used this long enough to give my full impressions on the battery. We've had it for about 4.5 days now, but I will say though, in my regular usage, I am able to get through a full day with about 30 to 40% left, but I want to put it through a little more stringent testing before I declare how good or bad the battery life is. So you can get this in two different versions. The US version is going to come with a quad-core processor. The international version you can get with an octa-core processor, but no support for LTE. It is a 1.9 gigahertz Qualcomm Snapdragon chip, so it's pretty fast. I mean, quad-core, octa-core. Nothing here is really optimized yet for quad-core or even octa-core. So I wouldn't get too caught up on the number of cores. Your performance though was awesome, and of course when we do our full review, I'll tell you what all the quadrant scores are and all that kind of stuff. But this thing's blazing fast, as you would expect, and augmented with 2 gigs of RAM. You're never gonna have to worry about any sort of Android lag or memory loss, assuming you're not downloading some crazy bad apps. So internal storage, 16 or 32, but you've got a micro SD card slot that lives underneath the battery door here, which is removable, which is quite nice. Speaking of removable battery door, let me go ahead and do that. Same plastic that we've seen on other Samsung devices. It's no better, no worse. A little bit of what looks like a textured pattern on it, but there isn't one. SIM card's gonna live right there, and there is that micro SD card slot. Again, we've got the Sprint variety, which supports their new LTE network, and that's where that micro SIM card is going to live. You can also see the antenna and connection points for NFC, which is also built into the sky. It snaps on just like the rest of Samsung devices do. A few little clips and you are good to go. Cameras definitely improved here as well. We've got a 13 megapixel sensor, which takes full 1080p video and does a very good job at it, and a 2 megapixel sensor on the front. We're going to talk a lot more about camera and do separate camera videos. But there's some cool stuff that goes on here inside the camera. I'll give you guys a bit of a sneak preview as we get to that full coverage. So it looks pretty familiar to what we've seen on other Samsung devices. If you want to take video, you should go ahead and hit video. Hit that mode button though. There's a lot of cool things that go on here. So auto, pretty obvious, nothing really exciting there. Beauty face, enhanced facial features, best photo. It'll take a series of photos. It's different than what BlackBerry has when it'll just sort of swap the heads. This one takes a whole bunch of photos. You can pick the best one. Actually, I'll recommend one with the thumbs up. Best face for a similar thing. Sound shot, you can arrange pictures by adding background sounds for a few seconds. Kind of cool. Drama's sort of neat. You can see what's going on here. If you take a picture of somebody running or walking across the screen, you can sort of see what that looks like. Animated photo, and I'll walk you guys through all this in a separate video. Eraser, it'll erase someone walking through the background. Panorama, pretty obvious. Sports, night, and a few other settings, but does a really nice job. But one of the coolest things for me in camera, I'll go ahead and open that back up, was that you can use the front and rear cameras at the same time. So let me go ahead and show you. I'll hit that middle button right there, and you'll sort of see me. There we go. You can sort of see my face in a little heart as I'm filming. You can see Ralph doing the filming. We'll focus on him because it's probably a little bit easier. If you hit that little arrow button, you can choose all kinds of different little sizes and I guess outlines for what you want it to look like. So if you want just an oval blur and you want to chat with somebody, record a video, you can do it like that. And as you move it around, you get those 4 little boxes on the side, which if you use Android for a while, you know that'll let you resize it however big or how small you want. So we'll drop that down, select that. You can make it bigger. Or smaller. You can remove it obviously entirely if you want to, but certainly kind of a really nice addition that Samsung has done. So we'll go ahead and close that. A lot more to talk about in camera, but consider that a sneak preview, an aperitif to the rest of the goodness that the camera can do here. So it's going to be coming to all major carriers in the US, so T-Mobile, AT&T, Sprint, and Verizon, one of the few devices that comes everywhere. So you're going to want to check what date it's going to come to your carrier because it's different for all 4, but it will be coming, so yay for that. So it's got Bluetooth and NFC, the rest of the stuff you'd expect. So let me walk you around the device. Snap that back all the way in here so it looks pretty. On the left hand side, volume rocker up and down, where we've seen that. From a design standpoint, it's nothing too different versus the S3, save for a little bit of a better screen. On the right hand side, you've got the power and lock button in the spot where Samsung likes to put it on the right. If we continue the tour on the back, there is that 13 megapixel camera, LED flash. Presumably there'll be some sort of carrier branding on here. Galaxy S4 and speaker grill. Up top, you've got a lot of port action here. You've got a 3.5 millimeter headset jack. It does have an IR blaster, which looks right there. You'd think that might be a microphone, but it's not. The microphone is actually right there on the bottom. That's where your syncing and charging port's going to be, and there is a noise canceling mic as well. And rounding out some of the cutting edge features here of the Galaxy S4, this has 802.11n AC, which I can't even test for you because I don't have anything that supports AC, but certainly over the next 2 years of your contract, a lot of stuff might. So there's that option as well. So some new things here with Sense. You can see how folders are organized are kind of neat. You get some nice animations. In the pull down, instead of just seeing that row of 5, if you hit that in the upper right hand corner, you can see a ton of stuff. There's some cool things here too, like Air View, which will let you sort of simulate what you can do with an S Pen. The best example I can show you, if I unlock it and I lock the phone, you can see that little light sort of follows my finger. I'm not touching the screen, but you can see it sort of follows where my finger goes. And you can do that to get sneak previews of emails, if you want to view text on a website or open a calendar item. It's sort of a neat feature. You can also do some motion stuff as well. So let's say I want to move a widget. Let's say I want to move this Google search bar. So obviously I can just drag it and move it around if I want. Without any problem, I can go from screen to screen. But you can also, if you hold it down, and this doesn't always work, if you wave your hand across it from the side, it'll move. Doesn't always like to work. There we go. You can see now it's moving screen to screen as I wave my hand across it. So some kind of cool implementations for technology. I don't know how practical they all are, but they're super high on the cool front. And it does work, not 100% as you saw, but it's relatively accurate. So there's a lot of things to like here in the Galaxy S4. Again, I need a few more days till I feel comfortable putting my name on a full review, but overall the experience has been very positive. Nothing giant difference from the Galaxy S3. I think the big differences you're going to see here are in the camera, and some of that camera stuff might actually still be coming to the Galaxy S3. Now, while on paper it's a much faster phone, the Galaxy S3 was certainly no slow phone. So while things do open a little bit faster and quadrant scores are a little bit higher, performance on this is pretty close to what it was on the S3 in everyday use, and that's really a compliment to the S3 and how good it was. This is definitely an incremental upgrade, but it is a nice upgrade and brings a lot of nice features. Really the big one for me is that gorgeous 1080p screen. So stay tuned for our full review, as I'll walk you through everything that this phone can do and not do. And I'll give you the full Techno Buffalo score. Any questions, things you guys want to see, leave your comments down below. I am John Rettinger from Techno Buffalo. Give this video a thumbs up. We most definitely appreciate it. And I'll see you in the next video.